In connection with your previous segment, do you think the African American Muslim community does enough for or engages with the broader African American community?
Well, it depends on which community that you're talking about. You know, there's a lot of criticism for the Salafis. But to their credit, I think the Salafis are probably the most productive, the most active when it comes to engaging African Americans. Primarily, it's in the inner cities, and it's also in the prison systems, to be honest. I think that the Salafi approach in the broader Islamic world is perhaps the most closed off approach, meaning that it doesn't allow for sort of the broad perspective of Islamic knowledge in life. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very rigid understanding, but they're very active. They're very active. We had people. I did a introduction to Islam class at the masjid here in Atlanta. And the people would come to me who would come to the class and say, the Salafi masjid, they would tell us, don't come to you all's masjid. You are not real Muslims and stuff like that. So they're very, not only are they very active, but they're very, they propagate their ideas of truth and reality much more effectively than we do. Because you know, I don't tell my students that don't go to the Salafi masjid. It just never even occurred to do that. But anyway, so I think that that group doesn't fall under that. I think they have another problem, which is just a limited or a limiting understanding of Islam that they promote. And I don't mean that any disrespect. I mean, that's honestly the case. People who are Salafi, who are not black, who have gone and traveled and did more study in the broader Islamic world, they've written about that. Like, I was once a Salafi, and when I began to study, I just began to see that I was in a box, and that's actual fact. But the other groups, I don't think we do enough. I think that, again, the strength, I mentioned this before, the strength of the Nation of Islam was that the Nation of Islam made what we considered to be Islam a black phenomena. The Muslims in America were black people. You see what I'm saying? Did we have pockets of non-African Americans who were Muslim? Yes, but they had no real impact on the direction of this society, because the black Muslims, as we were called, we were the ones who were speaking out against injustices in the society. We were the ones opening up an independent school system to educate our own children. We were the ones opening up bakeries and groceries, owning them. We were owning and operating them. And even the name of it will be your supermarket, your bakery, speaking to our people that you can do the same thing. You don't have to take your dollars across town. As one brother in the nation told me, why spend with the other man when you can spend with the brother man? So that was a theme. That was a culture. That was a way of thinking that we had. How to Eat to Live, volumes 1 and 2. And again, I mentioned this before. We have a particular diet that's based upon, not all of us, but many of us came into a dietary way, a way of dieting that was based upon slave culture. You know, they would give us the entrails. They would give us the most objectionable parts of the meat, the parts that they didn't want. And we had to take those food stuffs and turn them into something. Well, at the same, now while that's merit to that, at the same time, our food damages us, high blood pressure, etc. So problems related to diet is one of the greatest killers of the African American people today. We know this now. So we had a way where we were communicating to our people, leave that slave diet that the white man gave you. Come accept your own diet. So this was more than just religion in the sense of do's and don'ts, prayer and rituals. This was a new culture being introduced. So I remember my first wife, her grandmother said that when she never joined the Nation of Islam. She was like a Christian. But she said that she was in the best health condition in the history of her life when she used to get the paper from the brothers and she would follow the How to Eat to Live articles. She said that was the best condition of health she ever was in. So I'm saying that to say, even though she didn't become a Muslim, she benefited from what the black Muslims were doing. The book of the black Muslim community was Message to the Black Man. It was very clear that our work was to call our people to Islam, and we were told in that book, Islam is your religion. Your true name is not, as Malcolm said on one video, Bunch and Powell and McWhirter and all of that. These are Irish and Scottish and English names. Your true name is Abdul, Kareem, So I'm not advocating the Nation of Islam right now. I'm using the Nation of Islam as an example of the most successful effort in the history of Black America to communicate Islam to our people. And I think that that has been lost. I think that it has not been completely lost, but a lot of it has been lost. And I think that if we would be real with ourselves, we have to acknowledge the fact that we are not really observing what is plaguing Black America today and what does Black America need for its future today, and we are not orienting our message towards that. So we should just change. That's all. It's not really anything existentially profound. When we look at our prophet, prayers and peace be upon him, and again, we said this before, when we look at our prophet, prayers and peace be upon him, when we look at the early generations of Muslims, when they spread across the world, they did just that. They were engaging in discussion. They were engaging in argument. They were engaging in activity that showed the relevance of Islam to whoever that population was. So our people we were given the black church. We were given the church. The black church is a product of the slave experience, and the sons and daughters of the slaves seeking to reconcile and find answers for their life in light of their oppressive condition. We, as African American Muslims, have something to say to the black church, to the theology of the black church, to the culture of the black church, to the effect of the black church. Because in a lot of cities where we still are, there are 10 churches, storefront churches on one block, no businesses. That's a problem in black church culture. Many of the African American churches today have become places of entertainment and motivational speaking, not places for the edification of the intellect. That's a problem that we have. Many, if any Christian, black Muslim for that matter, if you ask them right now, close your eyes, and I'm going to say the word Jesus Christ. I'm going to say the name Jesus Christ. I'm going to say the word angel. I'm going to say God. If they close their eyes and say what image comes to their mind, most of them would have to admit they see a white man. Right? So that psychology is still upon us. Islam has something to say to that for us in this context. Until this day, we're still eating fried pig back. You know what I'm saying? Boiled pigtail. That's a problem. Diet is a problem for us today. We have something to say to white supremacy and racism. You see what I'm saying? We have something to say to white supremacy and racism. We have something to say to rap culture. That I'm talking about popular rap culture that impresses upon our young people, impresses upon our women, and impresses upon our males a certain lifestyle that is decadent, and it brings about the decay of our morality, of our intelligence, of our ability to stay together in families. That we have something to say even to the black Greek culture and to the HBCUs. You all are stepping. You all are barking and doing all of that. We want to see more production on your part to lift the people up. They're a far cry from those original study groups that were put together to bring about strength and cohesion for the race when these black Greek organizations were originally established. We have something to say to the black Masons. Don't tell me that your masonry and the sciences that came from ancient Egypt, so it's actually the black man. They do that in the church. You know, the first book, the Ethiopian Bible, is the oldest Bible. They try to say that to justify why that's not the Bible you're reading. No, you're reading King James Version. And you're not following the way of the Ethiopians. You're following the way. First of all, you weren't in Ethiopia. You were in West Africa, number one. Number two, you're not following the Ethiopian church. You're following the Methodist, the Baptist, the white church. You black Mason, my brother was a Mason. He said they got strippers at the damn Masonic Hall. So you all are, this is not all of them. I don't want to make a broad brush complaint or statement, but you all are following the ways of the world still. And you're following the European order. And there's no way you could be a Muslim and know the value, the light, the beauty of Islam and want to be a Mason. Masonry is inferior to Islam. It doesn't even exist before the light of Islam. That's like holding up a flashlight or a match when the sun is out. And I'm saying the same thing for being a black Greek. So what am I saying? We have a message to proclaim to our people. And that's what we intend to do. That's exactly what we intend to do. We want to be connected with Africa still. But the height of achievement for civilization was best established or expressed in the history of Islam in Africa. Timbuktu is not just a mythological city. This is a city where the number one industry was selling books, where the university, the Sankora University, had 25,000 students. This is a civilization, the Mandinka, where they traveled the seas. This is documented in the history that they traveled the seas and they came to the Americas before the Europeans. So shouldn't we now, as African-American Muslims, be reconnected with that heritage? That's the message we should be proclaiming to our people. And that's what we intend on doing.
There's a talk I give on the 5 biggest challenges black people have for the next 100 years. The number one challenge is the existential crisis of the black family. The existential crisis of the black family. Marriage in our culture is down to 34%. When we were growing up, it was 85%. It's now down to 34%. 71% of our sisters are not married. 29% will never get married. 63% of our brothers are not married. 30% of them will never get married. There is no culture in the history of humankind that has risen to maximize their full human potential without family at the center of their culture. This only exists. This is an interesting but negative statistic. This phenomenon of the existential crisis of our family only exists among African American black people. It does not exist on the continent or anywhere else in the diaspora. So there must be something in the water. We must fix this. It is a lot easier said than done because it is impacting our wealth. Quick statistics. For 350 years, household median income was dominated by white people. They were number one in this country. They no longer are number one, they're number 3. And there's a reason for it. So who has the highest household median wealth in America? It's East Indians. $104,000 a year. What's the marriage rate in the East Indian culture? 94%. 2 are working. Who's number 2? Chinese Asians. Household median income $110,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. Number 3 are white people. Household median income $88,000 a year. What's the marriage rate? Almost 50%. Down significantly. Number 4 are Hispanics. Household median income $61,000 a year. Marriage rate close to 70%. We are at the bottom. Household median income $55,000 a year. Marriage rate 34%. And projected based on facts and statistics that if we do not fix this, because white folks ain't fixing this, our marriage rate will be in the low teens in the next 20 years. This is an enormous challenge. That's a whole talk by itself on how do we fix it. It can be fixed, but we have to, first of all, understand that this is a problem. No one's talking about this problem. This is a huge problem. It's the number one problem in our culture. So we must fix it. Wow. There's a talk.
So this was a clip sent, and this is a very serious clip. This was sent to me. I saw it first posted by a brother I know, Imam Akil from Newark, New Jersey. And it was going around, but someone sent this to me and asked for my thoughts on it. And this, again, I repeat, this clip is very, very, to me, it really captures what I think we all tend to know in the African-American community. And I like what he just said at the end. What he really said was that no one is talking about it. No one is talking about it. And that's kind of been my position as an African-American Muslim, having served, and I still serve in the capacity of an imam for years now. I think that the way religion should be taught amongst any people it has to be brought home to address their conditions. Like we're told in the Quran that in the Quran there is a healing for what is in the chest or the breasts, the hearts. In other words, the Quran addresses the spiritual conditions of people. In modern language, we would say that the Quran has answers, or it addresses, or it heals the psychological needs of a people. Well, the first thing you have to do to address the psychological needs of a people is to properly diagnose what those needs are. And I think that all too often, if we're coming from, Christian theology, Islamic thinking, so on and so forth, we are coming from those particular systems of education, not the scripture per se, but those systems of education, like theology school or something like that. And we're not applying the knowledge to what the specific need is of the people that we serve. And as he said, I agree. The number one problem that we have, yet oddly enough, no one talks about it, is the decimation of our family. And I'll add this as well. This is one of the reasons why I take a certain position towards rap music, not hip hop culture in the sense of, the conscious rap and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Sexy Reds, the Cardi B's, the drill rap, that genre of rap that's the most popular, that most of our young people listen to. That you get on World Star Hip Hop. That rap promotes behavior and thinking. It promotes a spirit that's antithetical to family. And it was something else that he said, in my opinion, that's extremely important. He said, white people ain't going to fix it. What do we have to do? I mean, I'm putting it in my own words, but that's also my position. When we get into these conversations about rap music, oftentimes it's like, well, who created the conditions to create rap music? When we talk about the needs of black men, or the need for black men to measure up to certain standards or whatever, we tell the women you have European standards. We say, oh, well, white supremacy is holding black men back. I don't deny those things, but what I do as a student of my scripture, as an observer of the world, I'm of the position that I can't expect Pharaoh to be anything but Pharaoh. I don't expect the devil to be anything but a devil. So I'm going to waste my time and energy if I put too much of that time and energy into trying to convince the devil to be anything other than what he is. What I have a greater chance at being successful at is seeking to change myself and to change those around me in my environment. So no one's going to fix it but us. If white people were going to fix it, then they would have done it already. If white people, if it's called white supremacy, if I just take that idea that white supremacy has put us in this situation, then why would I expect the white supremacist or the white supremacist system to change and to give us that which we need to have our lives in stable condition? To me, I'm talking about now time and energy and what the chances are of success. I think we have a greater chance of being successful if we simply give all of our energy, turn our energy in-house. So another thing that he said, no other black people. He said something must be in the water. No other black people. I think Nigerians, Ghanaians, West Africans, though he mentioned East Africans here in this clip, they have a very high rate of college graduation, success in the United States of America. In other words, other people of color. As a matter of fact, even the statistics with the East Africans and the Chinese Asians, these are other groups of color. These are other quote unquote minority groups. Though he didn't mention the other groups of the diaspora, there's other literature about them. So something that he said very, very important, something must be in the water. In other words, there's something unique to black culture that is making us this way. Something unique to black life. I do believe that the legacy of slavery is a part of it. I do believe that the legacy of white supremacy is a part of it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure that that's a part of it. At the same time, many of us can think back on our own family history. Many of us can, not all of us can, but my grandfather came from the racist rural South, a part of the Great Migration. But I could see how in his life he made certain headway, he made certain advances that those among his children and grandchildren didn't make. And I've seen that with so many African American families. Most of our foreparents were poor and uneducated, to just put it quite frankly. And if they many of them came up north, or if they stayed in the South, they made a lot of progress with their life and they were able to achieve. They ended up buying property, owning land, so on and so forth. And a lot of their achievements have been wasted away. A lot of our land has been lost. There was some racist practices involved in that too, or that brought that about. A lot of their children, to be perfectly honest with you, from and again, you can say this is anecdotal, but I think after so many anecdotal stories, it becomes a sample. It becomes scientific. Now I have a sample. If I've heard this story dozens of times across a span of geography, different geographical locations, it becomes sort of a sample. So in a constant theme that I see, that the generation that was born after World War, not the baby boomers, from the baby boomers on down to now, the achievements of those people who came up in the Great Migration, they were wasted away. That's not all of us, but I hear that a lot. But I'm just saying, I mean, I don't want to say that this particular thing is the problem, but I think the first thing that we have to understand is that it's something that's unique to us. The net result of it, though, in the final analysis, is the destruction of our family. We're not marrying each other. And because we're not marrying one another, according to his analysis, it keeps us poor. It's a strong contributor to the lack of wealth in the African American community. You know, in Islam, we are told, our prophet, according to a hadith, it has weakness to it, but he said, marriage is my sunnah. You know, in other words, to follow his way is to get married. And there's another tradition that says marriage is half of the religion. And there's a reason for that. You know, marriage is the means by which human beings built wealth traditionally. A man had to care for his woman, his child. He had to go out into the world, procure the needs for the woman and child. And in time, as the family gets bigger, that activity of supplying the needs for women and children, plus ourselves, brings us into industry, the marketplace, so on and so forth. And this is why this is one of the reasons why the expression marriage is half of the religion is in Islam. Spirituality is one half, marriage is the other half, but marriage is the doorway to all of these other activities that we need to support our life. So I do believe, you know, there's another teaching in the Quran where it says that the two angels, they were angels, Harut and Marut, and they came down in the kingdom of Solomon and they taught the people a science of how to separate man from wife. And there's another tradition of our prophet, praise and peace be upon him, where the devil is on his throne and he sends out his imps, his workers, and they come back reporting what they did. And he's telling this one, oh, you didn't do anything. And he's telling this other one, oh, you didn't do anything. But the one that comes back instead said, I impressed it upon a man so thoroughly. I kept at him until I separated him from his wife. He told him, now you have done something. In other words, it is to establish that among all of the sins that Satan seeks to have popular or have pervasive in the environment, you know, alcohol, gambling, murder, theft, he approves of nothing more than he approves of the separation of a husband from a wife. So in other words, one of the greatest schemes of Satan is to separate a husband from a wife. To put that in our terms, to separate family, to not have people married. If we are married as a people, if we are married at this alarming rate that's so low, and we know that the effects of us not being married in appreciable numbers, it also contributes to our weakness in all of these other areas. We can say from an Islamic perspective that the African American people are perhaps the greatest victims when it comes to the schemes of Satan, the devil. The problem with us in religion, I said this before and I'll say this again. Oh no, I got a message come up. The problem with us in religion is that we have a non-real perception of where we should find Satan. We should look for the devil in his schemes. We should look for the devil not to locate a person. We definitely shouldn't be looking for some creature with what you call it, a red suit and horns and all of that. No, look for the influences in the culture, in society, that promote sex without any conscience, the separation of man and woman, that promote a lifestyle that works against us. So if we could do that, and that's what I'm going back to what I said about the masjids and the churches and the wherever else we go, the temples, this is where the education should be. So a part of the solution, we have to become conscious of those things that are influencing our lives. And if you go to a church or a masjid or whatever else, and they're not making you, or you are not being made aware of these things in our environment that have an influence on our life, that have an influence on our behavior, then you need to put pressure on that church leader. You need to put pressure on that masjid leader and say, hey, you have to ground us in reality. You have to put the focus where the focus needs to be. If you don't go to any house of worship, you have to be aware of that yourself. You have to also raise your children in that knowledge, to not just turn on the television, to just turn on social media and accept anything that this world offers you as a behavioral trend, as a pattern of thought, as a spirit. These are spirits being communicated to us. That's the number one. Number two, another way to fix it, those of us who are in families, those of us who are fathers, those of us who are mothers, brothers and sisters, we have to begin to demand more of ourselves. Meaning what? Me as a father, I have to demand of my sons a certain standard of behavior when it comes to women. I have to demand of my daughters a certain standard of behavior. We have to go back to the basics. All of these problems can be healed. But like he said, there's no people in the history of civilization that have ever made progress in this way. So going back to the white supremacy piece, there's no people who've ever made progress in the history of the world by demanding their oppressors to give them what they need to no longer be oppressed. That's never happened, and it never will happen. That's number one. Number two, there's no people in the history of the world who have ever made progress without having their families intact. So the responsibility is upon us, those of us who have some consciousness, those of us who know that this society and the elements in our culture that's being fed to us by demonic forces, white supremacists, whatever we call them, demonic forces. We know that they're real. What is our strategy going to be? We have to consciously raise our children. We have to consciously inform our pastors, our teachers, whoever they are. We have to consciously form as groups of people, as families, in other words, get with other brothers of like mind, other sisters of like mind. And we have to establish and project a voice of consciousness. We have to protect one another. We have to hold each other accountable, so on and so forth. So I'm going to leave this here, but I think that this is such a critical issue that it can't be ignored in our community any further, because like he said, in a decade or more, we'll be down to having our families in the teens in terms of the percentage of us who are married. And if that's the case, as a people, we will go extinct. So again, excellent clip, very powerful, deep clip, in my opinion. Keep them coming. And my position is always, I really believe Al-Islam has answers for our people. Even if you don't become a Muslim, even if you're considering becoming a Muslim, even if you don't, you should read the Quran. You should read the teachings of Islam and see for yourself whether or not, I guarantee you will find every answer to the problems that plague our community. Every answer is found in this religion. Until next time, peace. O my servants, I have forbidden oppression for myself and have made it forbidden amongst you. So do not oppress one another. The language in the Arabic says, Inni haramtu dhulm. I have made haram. That's what forbidden means. Haram. Haramtu. I have forbidden dhulm ala nafsi. I have forbidden oppression upon myself. So the term dhulm, it means oppression. And I guess that's why in the English they have this actual word, press. Because in the original meaning of oppression, dhulm, Allah says it's in the Quran is connected to Well, let me put it this way. In the Quran, this term is connected to dhulumat. It's the same, really. In Arabic, but I'm focusing on Quran now. And dhulumat means darkness. We can call it oppressive darkness. But oppressive darkness is not always negative. Because the child in the womb of the mother, Allah says that it is in dhulumatin thalath. It's in 3 layers of darkness, they translate it as. And Allah, in another part of the Quran, speaks about the plant life that grows out of the earth. Before it grows and it shoots above the soil, it is in the darkness of the earth. Dhulumatul ard. So the child in the womb of the mother, that darkness is a protection for it. That darkness is a support for it. It is the means by which that child develops until it is able to come into our world. That darkness of the soil is, if it was on the surface of the soil, the wind would blow it, creatures will eat it, things like that. Underneath the soil is protected. It's able to plant its roots first and gain enough strength to begin to rise above the surface. So the soil is very beneficial. As a matter of fact, the soil, just like the womb, is necessary. So this is a necessary darkness. But if the child, like the child, the due date of a pregnant woman is what, 40 weeks? We say 9 months in classical language, 40 weeks in medical language. But if it goes to 50, 60, 70 weeks, now it's harm to the mother and it's harmful to the child. So if the child is kept in the womb and prevented from coming out into our world, now it's oppression by this reading, is what I'm saying. If the seed is unable, if it's so deep down into the earth that it can never really plant roots and rise up, now the seed is unable to manifest its full life that's intended for it. So this is why darkness and oppression are connected. Oppression, then, to get straight to the point, means that when the possibilities or the potential in a thing are prevented from manifesting themselves. So as a child, I'm supposed to be in imaginative land, the imaginative world. I'm supposed to be running around playing. But play for a child is conditioning them for work as an adult. Imagination as a child is helping the actual brain form, the synapses and the neurons, etc. This has actually been studied. But if I am now 20 years old, when I should be accepting manhood responsibilities, and I'm still in a mode of play, and I'm still dreaming about life, but I'm not attacking life and building a life, I am undeveloped. I can be fully developed physically, undeveloped mentally, undeveloped spiritually. And throughout the history of the world, what Allah tells us in the Quran and what world history verifies is that nations would design cultures to hold people in a state of, to use that same analogy, to hold a whole people, to hold a whole generation of 20-year-old men in the mind frame of 10-year-old men. So that culture now is no longer a womb for the development. The culture is no longer healthy soil for the development. That culture now is oppressive darkness for those people. Hence, it says of the people of Pharaoh, يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءُ الْعَذَابِ يُذَبِّحُونَ أَبْنَاءَكُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيُونَ نِسَاءَكُمْ. They subjected you to the evil, the wickedness of the torment. They killed your sons and let your women live. This is oppression now. Because the child is created and the potential in the child is to grow into adulthood. The potential in the boy is to become a man. But if the boy is slain, then no men will come. No men will grow. Okay? So that's oppression. So God says, I have forbidden oppression upon my own self. when the scientific world even thinks about not just plant life, not just humans in the womb, not just animals in the womb, even the universe itself. The universe began out of, some say nothingness, some say, what do they call it? Zero volume. And that's the older language. However they term it, the universe itself began as potential. And over these billions of years, it has gone from a potential state to an actual state. The energy in the universe, the matter in the universe, even space itself has extended as the potential that was in the beginning has been unleashed or unfolded, etc. So the mind is like that. The mind has a potential for genius, a potential for creativity. And education is supposed to be feeding that potential so that it can be actual, it can be real. Everything in the world is like this, really, to some degree or the other. So this, when Allah says he has forbidden oppression, we see that in the very nature of things as he made those things. Everything that he made begins as potential, and in time it becomes more and more actual. Its potential is more and more expressed. This is what we call the sunnah of God. The sunnah of Allah. His established ways in creation and history, the life of man. We can see this is how God does, the way that Allah does things, he does not oppress. Therefore, he is giving as a directive, man is not to oppress. He says, I have forbidden it upon myself, وَجَعَلْتُهُ بَيْنَكُمْ مُحَرَّمًا, and I have made it between you forbidden. فَلَا تَظَالَمُوا, so do not oppress one another. تَظَالَمُوا, don't oppress one another. Okay? Now, this is very important. This is telling us, God says, I have forbidden upon myself oppression. I just referenced the universe, because there's no specification here. We tend to think, like in modern terms, when we think of oppression, we think of just like government, the powers that be. But God doesn't limit it to that. He says he's forbidden upon himself oppression. So you don't be an oppressor. It's forbidden upon you. What about in a home where the children can't really be themselves? We oppress each other in our homes. The children, be quiet. Don't jump around. You're too loud. That's what children do. I'm not saying that we can't raise children and get them to behave. I mean, discipline is a part of God's sunnah. We also see that in time, everything grows in discipline. So as the tree grows, its structure also increases. We see more and more structure. As the universe grew, how they describe it, it started off like in a chaotic state, and then in time it became more and more formed. When the male impregnates the female, it's literally like just if you were to look at it directly, it's just fluid. But as the body develops, the cells develop more and more structure. So God's sunnah is structure. I'm not saying we don't need discipline and structure, but at the same time, we do need respect for whatever level of development we're in. Many of us, you know how it is in our tradition, don't sit on the couch, or we put plastic on the couch because of poverty, because we're poor. We don't want to lose the good things that we have. So we're oppressed to become financially poor. We oppress our children by telling them, don't touch this and don't sit on that, and we're not going to do this because you're going to break it. Essentially meaning I don't have the money to buy another one. So just like you put a drop of something in the water and it ripples, oppression ripples, because that child now grows up like that guy who wrote that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He grows up in not always, but a lot of times, perhaps more often than not, with a poverty mentality of what I cannot have and what I cannot do. He doesn't have a sense of freedom and ownership that Adam was created for. Adam was created to be free. Hence, even in our history, George Washington Carver, they asked him, well, how did you learn all of this? He said they thought he was a slow child, so they would let him just run wild in the field while everyone else was picking or working. And he just started engaging plants, and he just naturally knew the different types of plants and how they grew and everything like that. He fell in love with nature because he was free. But also, so that's a type. So I'm saying oppression is not just government, citizen. It's very broad. In our relationships with our mates, are we in a relationship context where our mate feels free and open and able to express and be their full selves? Or do they have to, as they say, I think the term is walk on eggshells? This is reality. So God is speaking of his own self, and what he says of his own self provides a principle or an overarching value for how we are to form our world.
So we just spoke to the absence of fathers and the role that that plays in the current state of our community. What about the mothers? Do they play a role?
Yeah, I think that a lot of us inherit trauma from our mothers. You know, as a father, you can see how children really register from their mothers. Children eat what their mothers eat. Their tastes, their sensitivities are shaped by their mother. So if the father's coming home and being abusive to the mother, the children register that. If the father leaves the mother, the children register that. And as a child, your mother is your number one. She's your best friend. She is number one. All the children love their mother unless there's some type of defect in their spirit, in their spirituality, which is very rare, you know. So the mothers have a very difficult task at hand. Their task has been to raise the children with a healthy psychology, while at the same time bear the brunt of what they're getting from their men. You know what I'm saying? There's that popular video with Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. And she's making the case. Look, man, you go out and smile for the white man all day, and you come home and you give me the worst, you know. And he's like, but I can't lie to you. She's like, lie to me. He's like, I can't lie to you. She's like, but you must. I like how she said it, you know. Despite, you know, she has some people say, well, she was a feminist and she, whatever. I don't want to go down that road, but I'm just saying that clip or that particular conversation that they had. Mind you, we were having this conversation in the 70s. And these are children who grew up in the 40s and 50s. So this has been the African American problem. There have been exceptions to the rule, but that's a thing in our community where the man is not there. Even when he's there physically, he's not there spiritually necessarily. But again, I would say that the holistic picture, the total picture has to be taken into consideration. Again, not to absolve him from the fact that, hey, you actually did do this. So if you killed me in your car while you were drunk, you were under the influence, you didn't intend to, but you still did it. You still took my life. It just is what it is. So a lot of our fathers did that. And the children inherited it from the mother. A lot of our mothers have not been very good at protecting the image of the father. I don't know how it always was. My impression has been, this is sort of anecdotal, but I've heard it from a lot of people. And if you can gather up enough anecdotal points, then it becomes sort of a sample. It becomes a bit more scientific, which is historically the grandmothers, the old school mothers, they wouldn't reveal certain things to their children. But I know in my generation growing up, and I see it all the time with the young people, mothers are very open about their discontent with the fathers. Your father's nothing. Your father ain't never going to be nothing. You just like your daddy. He wasn't nothing. You ain't going to be nothing. You act just like your father. Your father's not paying the bills. You know, they're very open. And I think that they were prepared to be that way. Because even among their grandmothers and aunties perhaps protected their husbands' reputation. They were getting cheated on. They were getting physically abused, but they didn't really talk about their husbands like that. Some did, but I'm saying that was like socially it wasn't as acceptable. But what those grandmas and aunties did do was say, girl, make sure you get your own. Girl, don't depend on a man. Get an education. So I'm aware of families where the daughters in my generation will say, yeah, my grandmother told me, make sure you get a degree and get a job in case he leaves you. Girl, you know he's going to leave you. So we start off from a premise of distrust. And all of us can, at least if we don't know it by experience, we can intuitively kind of grasp. If you start off from the basis that this thing is going to fail, chances are it's going to fail. So the grandmother, now look, she's not really, again, you have to be merciful in your analysis. All human beings, I don't care if they're all black, all white, all whatever color, survival is a basic instinct. Grandma wants to survive. She has a survival instinct, and a part of her survival instinct is to see to it that her granddaughter is surviving, that her daughter survives. So she's not giving that advice to break up the house. She's giving that advice based upon the survival instinct. She's been hurt. She's been crushed. In her day, she had to hold it in. In her day, you know, people didn't get divorced and they didn't get separated, etc. So the grandfather would have his wife and his children. He'd have another family on the other side of town or another family in the next town over. We know that. That happened in my family. That happened in every family I know. Every black family I know almost had that happen. So this is a real thing. So the females, the women, would pass on this messaging to the daughters, and then the daughters would in turn act it out. They would live it out. And now we're in a situation where we can't seem to find, again, imbalance. So we've been as in the previous segment, we've become out of balance from the man side, and we're out of balance from the female side. Again, we inherit trauma. We inherit trauma in two ways. There's a book, The Body Keeps the Score, and he talks about how really trauma is a physical. It's rooted in the flesh. That's why when someone encounters something that was traumatic, psychologically, it puts them back into the mental state that they were when they first encountered that thing, and their bodies tend to freeze up. It's a physical response. But connected to the physical and the psychological components, there's another study, It Didn't Start With You. That's the name of the book. And the author speaks about how we inherit genetically. So not only does the individual person, his or her life, carry trauma, but also we can pass it down genetically. Now, mind you, this was in religious knowledge before. We call it spiritual science. We believe that, like, one of the meanings of man as khalif or khalifa, the word khalfa, it means what came before. In every new generation that inherits or succeeds the previous generation, it has the lifeline of that previous one in it. So the life or the tendencies or the inclinations of what has been amassed in those previous generations is sort of lying dormant in us. And there are certain things that can trigger, just like in an individual person's life, something can trigger that trauma response. Well, in the spirituality of a people, there are things that can trigger certain responses in a different generation. This is what they're finding, but this is what we've seen in the context of Scripture. So what is actually happening then is that our experience as a people being brought here in slavery, in everything that occurred with us in the context of slavery, to the men and to the women, because we have to understand, if you take a man, if you take a woman, and you abuse that woman for a month straight, you isolate her from her family, etc., you abuse her, she's going to require mental health attention once she's liberated. If you take that same woman and abuse her physically, mentally, etc., for a year, for 3 years, for 10 years, in each instant, no matter what duration of time you keep her, every time you put her in a situation to be free, if she doesn't have the means to process what she just underwent, that is going to stay with her in a negative way, more than likely. Well, just imagine a whole people undergoing trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, death, etc., despair, stress, for decades, for hundreds of years. And then they liberate us, they free us, and when they free us, there's no organization of shrinks to process all of us. They just send us out on, and you abuse that woman for a month straight. You isolate her from her family, etc. You abuse her. She's going to require mental health attention once she's liberated. If you take that same woman and abuse her physically, mentally, etc., for a year, for 3 years, for 10 years, in each instant, no matter what duration of time you keep her, every time you put her in a situation to be free, if she doesn't have the means to process what she just underwent, that is going to stay with her in a negative way, more than likely. Well, just imagine a whole people undergoing trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, death, etc., despair, stress, for decades, for hundreds of years. And then they liberate us, they free us, and when they free us, there's no organization of shrinks to process all of us. They just send us out on our own. And that doesn't even account for what I just mentioned, doesn't even account for the I'm going to just stick with the word trauma that was meted out to us in light of Jim Crow, in light of racism and all of these other things. So we are a people who are collectively, more of us than not, collectively in need of serious spiritual medication, serious psychological help. And how that condition that we're in manifests itself is primarily in the male-female dynamic, because the home is where we all start off at. Everybody gets a woman or wants a woman. Everybody wants a man or gets a man. But you have two people who are like, you ever play bumper cars? It's like bumper cars, but they're driving bumper cars with blindfold on. So they're both in the house just banging into each other, banging into each other, banging into each other. But they keep having children. And the children are watching them bang into each other. And the children, in turn, become dysfunctional because they say, well, I don't want to be like my mama. I don't want to be like my daddy. Not knowing that they carry the genetic influence and the psychological influence of both. And even in their attempt to not be like their parents, some way, somehow, they still end up repeating. So this is our condition. This is our condition. Just like I said about the males needed training, this should be, in my view, in the masjid. I'm speaking as a Muslim, but I would also say in the church, in the temple, wherever people go, this should be the education. Because 1 out of 3 of our women are subject to some type of sexual assault. That's in their lifetime. I'm not talking about anything inherited now. I'm talking about what they deal with. So many of our women are in a position where, whether they say it openly or not, whether it's fashionable to say it, they're in a position to not even really trust men. Many of them have never met a man that didn't let them down. I've heard them say this. So when you have people like that, it is absolutely impossible for them to live healthy and whole lives. And the guidance of God comes to make people whole. W-H-O-L-E. The Quran, Allah says of it that it is a healing for what is in the breasts, what is in the chest, meaning the hearts and the souls of human beings. So that should be at the forefront, or at least a critical component of our messaging, because we are like, as a people, male and female, our community is like Humpty Dumpty. You know, he sat on the wall, had a great fall. He needs to be put back together again. So the science of scripture, the real science of the Quran and the prophetic tradition, it has in it the insight to put together the human vessel all over again. Gets a man, but you have two people who are like, you ever play bumper cars? It's like bumper cars, but they're driving bumper cars with blindfold on. So they're both in the house just banging into each other, banging into each other, banging into each other, but they keep having children. And the children are watching them bang into each other. And the children, in turn, become dysfunctional because they say, well, I don't want to be like my mama. I don't want to be like my daddy. Not knowing that they carry the genetic influence and the psychological influence of both. And even in their attempt to not be like their parents, some way, somehow, they still end up repeating. So this is our condition. This is our condition. Just like I said about the males needed training, this should be, in my view, in the masjid. I'm speaking as a Muslim, but I would also say in the church, in the temple, wherever people go, this should be the education. Because 1 out of 3 of our women are subject to some type of sexual assault. That's in their lifetime. I'm not talking about anything inherited now. I'm talking about what they deal with. So many of our women are in a position where, whether they say it openly or not, whether it's fashionable to say it, they're in a position to not even really trust men. Many of them have never met a man that didn't let them down. I've heard them say this. So when you have people like that, it is absolutely impossible for them to live healthy and whole lives. And the guidance of God comes to make people whole. W-H-O-L-E. The Quran, Allah says of it that it is a healing for what is in the breasts, what is in the chest, meaning the hearts and the souls of human beings. So that should be at the forefront, or at least a critical component of our messaging, because we are like, as a people, male and female, our community is like Humpty Dumpty. You know, he sat on the wall, had a great fall. He needs to be put back together again. So the science of scripture, the real science of the Quran and the prophetic tradition, it has in it the insight to put together the human vessel all over again.
Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you, please, who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
Since your first appearance on this show some years ago. At that time you were sort of a stormy preacher and you hated all whites, you said, or I've gotten older. Something to that effect. Now you have a different attitude completely. You told me once that your religious experience in Cairo has changed your attitude and your outlook.
Well, as a Muslim, since I left Elijah Muhammad's Black Muslim movement, I should say since they put me out, because that's what they did, I've had a chance to do some traveling, and travel does broaden your scope. And as a Muslim whose religion is Islam, as it is practiced and taught in the Muslim world, I realize that it is impossible to call oneself a Muslim, to call one's religion Islam, and at the same time judge a man by the color of his skin. When I went to Mecca, I was faced with this decision. I was faced with the decision of believing what Elijah Muhammad had taught me, and using the criteria of judgment, the color of the skin, or I had to accept Islam as it was taught in the Muslim world, which doesn't use color as the color of the skin as the criteria. Rather, in the Muslim world, in the religion of Islam, you judge a man by his behavior, by his conscious behavior, by his intentions, by his deeds. This is the yardstick by which a person is judged.
Those are two very interesting things. In other words, you no longer believe, as Elijah Muhammad has been quoted as saying, that all white men are devils. You have changed that thinking.
If what Elijah Muhammad says, that all white men are devils, then you have the king of Arabia, King Faisal, who is white. He is the keeper of the holy city of Mecca. And many other Arabs there on the Arabian, not only in Arabia, but in Egypt, in Algeria, and other places. They are, from all appearances, white.
Now this poses a second problem I'd like to get your opinion on. Of course, you may be biased because you no longer are a member of the so-called black Muslim. But is the black Muslim a religion or not? Because this is coming up in the case in Chicago where a prisoner in Statesville converted from Roman Catholicism to the black Muslims, and he demanded to be able to be allowed to practice his religion in the jail. The warden denied this because he said the black Muslim was not a bona fide religion. Well, how do you feel? I want to answer that with this explanation first. Number one, no one can use me against Elijah Muhammad or against the black Muslim movement. On the other hand, anything that Elijah Muhammad says or does, or the black Muslim movement says or does, which I feel is against the best interests of the black community, then I'll attack it myself. But I won't attack it because someone sicks me on it. I don't let anybody use me to fight their battles. No one can say that what he teaches is not a religion, but it is not the religion of Islam. The religion of Islam is based upon brotherhood. It is based upon belief in Allah, the creator of the universe, infinite, omnipresent, omniscient, what's the other word? Omnipotent. And whereas Elijah Muhammad teaches that God is a man who came to America in the flesh and taught him what he knows. Islam teaches that belief in all of the prophets, especially Muhammad ibn Abdullah, who was born and died in Arabia 1400 years ago.
Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on. Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't need me, you just keep me hanging on. You always keep telling me lies, saying you're my woman. Why don't you get out of my life? 'Cause you ain't treating me right. So set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't want me, you just keep me hanging on. You sheltered me from harm, kept me warm, kept me warm. You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever knew is all the years I had with you, and I would give anything I own, give up my life, my heart, my own, and I would give anything I own just to have you back again. must come. They can't conquer me. Better must come, yeah. I've been trying a long, long time, but I can't make it. No one to keep me in helping hand. They only trying to keep me down. Oh, God bless, no one curse. Thank God I'm not the worst. Oh, my people can't see. They try to take advantage of me. I must come.
I live for you and I live for me. I live to bring a message so that black man will be free. Black man, if you're black, you should be thinking black, eating black, sleeping black, walking black, buying black, drinking black, and be proud that you're black. This is a message of a black man. While we call Negroes, why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition, stripped of our names, or language, or culture, or God, and our religion? Here in Jamaica, all of our religious teachings we've gotten from the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now but rather after we die. Yet all of the years that we've been living, for us it's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth. So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that when the white man first gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then calling Marco Polo an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China he robbed silk and gunpowder. From India he took manganese and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamond and her gold.
Yes. Greetings with the original Things in Time Culture Expression. I just want to bring update news to the Placebo liberation political establishments in most parts of the continent, Africa. But we are doing some good things, because the M23 yesterday rounded up hundreds of mercenaries. Hundreds of mercenaries. You can go on the Africa Today news and some, excuse me, some European news channels, and you'll see that they have rounded up, and they did count over 200 and counting mercenaries, Caucasian mercenaries. And there's one and two of us in there, but the majority are Caucasian mercenaries from all about the place. So you see, if some people don't keep up to date, I wasn't listening very carefully to our brother Robert Mugabe, then you're outside of the loop and you pretend to be an activist with intention, but the intention is not good. Not good at all. At all. And Rwanda have experienced one of the most saddest situation in African history. But they are, that conjunction, Mom, I'm sorry, they have been able, as culture and groups, and tribes, sorry, not groups, to reconcile being left alone. What happened was instigated by Europeans. But it wasn't Europeans who were slaughtering and butchering us. It was us doing that. But when we were left, but again, Astaghfirullah, the peoples of Rwanda under the current government or the current administration YouTube, what are you doing? Was they were able to examine themselves very carefully and prayed and seek forgiveness of one another and their surrounding countries, which are their brothers and sisters, aid and supported them, was no Europeans. And Rwanda have excelled infrastructurally, academically, politically, and economically worldwide. But then the European Union and England started to interfere with them. And England wanted them to house refugees that they themselves wanted or insisted on deporting, but they want Rwanda to take them in. And now with the situation where they're trying to blame Rwanda for what is happening in the Congo, and a bunch of Europeans and their news broadcasts keep saying it. So, eventually it would kind of stick and appear to be true, right? And the same group that they're saying that Rwanda support and aid to create this unrest is the ones who have unseated the troublemakers and present them to the world. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to that brother and his associates because this hasn't been done to our acknowledgement. You know? And South Africans, a lot of them is from South Africa, a lot of South African mercenaries. Well armed, everybody was, well equipped. You know, mercenaries are not slouts, they're professional people. But this body, they're professional too, well trained soldiers. That line of thing called independence, it is not accepted by Europeans unless they give it to us. And then you have in England David Lammy saying to Rwanda, mind what you're doing because we're giving you billions. That brother's lost his head. That brother's lost his head. He haven't looked after his own backyard with the Grenfell fire. And one of his close, maybe his partner, he would have to say, was on the phone with him while she was trapped at the top. And she lost her life. Her life was taken in there. And that had a great effect on him. Natural. On all of us, but on him because it's somebody that was very close to him. And when he were in connection and so forth with her, he examined the charities and examined Africa carefully again and exposed how Africa's been constantly used throughout the year, while England is saying that they're raising tens of millions of pounds for charitable purposes in Africa. That was the David Lammy. Now this David Lammy, because the government that's in, he's a part of that government. So he wants, maybe he had this preconceived idea in the first place. But Rwanda wasn't supposed to excel. Africa as a whole was not supposed to excel unless it was granted and awarded and supported in some ways by the Europeans, by the Caucasians, you know? That's why when they gave us, when we achieved independence from them without sovereignty, it was nothing. But we came of age and challenged that. But the late Queen, she had a methodology of sweeping things like that aside. And I don't know if it's because it's a female. Africa did not sway. And just to show how crude it can be, they set a trap and removed Gaddafi because of the international independence in terms of economics. that he shared with the continent, and there were no obstacles. But then quickly, the number one, number two terrorists were invited to England to meet with with Her Majesty. And Wisey was here. They were picking, plotting, structuralizing what is going to happen by the time he returned. And that's what happened. Look it up again. Look it up. Look it up. And British ships were bombing the place at night. And those who were trained, they were executing on the ground inside Libya. And that was it. But just in case there were members of the administration that would have taken that thought, that principle ahead, they were in there clearing out the gold, bullion out of Libya. You know, the English is not stupid, you know. And they always come back even if it's 400 years. They seek revenge. You cannot give them a bloody nose and think that that's it, you've won. Like in a boxing match. They ain't gonna forget that. No one should, but really what it is, they seek revenge, reprisals. Look at Sudan. If you think it's joke, I'm joking, look at Sudan. Look at Egypt. And look at this place called Jordan. And then look at this other place, which is first on the list, which they call Saudi Arabia. They elected a family and named the country after the family, the Al Saud family. Now look at it, realize its history, and look at it today. You think someone could go Australia and play that kind of monkeyness? Why is modeling and alcohol, boxing, wrestling, and all these things in Arabia? They have to push their culture and their morality to the side because the young generation of England is now controlling, and Charles is going to make sure that he set a standard for his son to follow. He just regret that his mother kept him out so long. And the number one sacred spot on earth that wouldn't open up his mouth, spend some of its money, and help the brothers and sisters in Gaza was able to give the new, well, it's not new, the President of America a big payday. For what? For what? Whilst other people are doing strategic things, they're buying gifts and bankrolling somebody. That shows that you're intellectually stupid. You're dumb. Intellectually dumb. Islam don't play no role in your dumbness. But all the people around and about you and so-called neighboring countries, they fear you. Is it you they fear or America? Who's got whose number? I think America's got all of your number. Now we got to wait and see if the president is going to have his way, his desire, or his potential support for the opposition, how much force he's going to apply on who next. Because they want the land. Now, I remember, what is this man called? I don't remember. It's just part of history. General Custer and others, but they use these guys to negotiate with the Indians. Well, I have to call them that. You know, the Sioux, the Cherokee, and then send another general in with well-equipped arms to slaughter some of those tribes. And that's why Little Bighorn is a historical event in the Newfoundland called America among the Sioux, the Navajos, and such tribes. Because Geronimo wasn't ignorant. So he slaughtered Custer in revenge for being tricked. Because it was not only his tribe, there was other neighboring tribes that he got to lessen themselves and to agree with the Americans' militaries, only to be slaughtered. After that, even though Custer was slaughtered, after that, Indian tribes were captured, rounded up, and placed on reservations. Many thousands were herded out into Canada, into the area that we're calling Canada today. That's history. I've learned that. Why is it relevant? It's to say that they have a track record. The Sioux Nation, they stripped their braves of their arms. And split their military and dispatched them into different areas to weaken themselves, to assure, what's the guy's name, General something, to assure them that they were going to comply. And as soon as this thing happened, the Americans, they slaughtered them, divide them, and kill them. And that same place, California and San Francisco, they took the chiefs in those areas and did a kind of Las Vegas style operation on them. Women and whiskey. And the Indians, you know, they just stood there, but they were embarrassed. They were made a mockery of. And these were the chiefs. So why is the chiefs were away? They were able to slaughter the braves. And they captured many of their women and took them miles and miles away. They also denied them of their bisons and buffaloes. They deny us sovereignty, but they set an exam. They created an exam for us to sit. And if we did not comply properly, we didn't gain independence. That's why you go to Africa, you see that all the chambers is British. The wigs, everything, all the structures, they're not ours. So they seldomly turn up and assess and evaluate how things are going. That's why they're able to keep saying that Nigeria and Ghana are what do they call them? There's a proper word. And so on. And now I mention Ghana. He's in the pocket of somebody because he's the one that disliked his own brother, our brother, in Rwanda. He was speaking hard, allegedly, against France. And I always said, listen to his words carefully. They're not meaningful. Just like that brother in South Africa. He just makes a lot of noise, man. And he speaks some factual stuff, but he don't have no solution. He don't come up with nothing. Nothing at all. Haven't cleaned up Johannesburg, not even 6 square miles. Haven't done nothing. Ain't taken some of the people out of the most despicable conditions all these years. But he changed his clothes. I mean, he's always tidy. He changed his clothes. And he's chauffeur driven. I'm saying that to say that what the hell has he done for his own people? Huh? These weak-ass Rufuses always saying something. A child comes by and says, okay, I've heard you, but what is the solution? What is it that you're going to lead towards doing? That's it. And Europe development is because of the continent. Take away the continent and the resources that Europe have benefited from. Europe is a poverty area of goddamn poverty and more poverty. Their resources. And now they're using force on the intellects and the individuals, our people that have vision. Now they want to soil the motivation that's taken root on the continent. But yet still we want to scream about China. Are you crazy? Because 1 in 2 guys and some women behave a particular way with me and not with you, and so forth and so forth. China gets a bad press. China is helping us take those damn European borders down. China is helping us with our creative minds. Whilst the others have made us into labor forces in sectors for them to extract from the land. And the brightest others, they're taking the most fertile areas and feed Europe. They've learned now how delicate our soil is. They've learned. Before they just planted corn, and within 2 seasons, they see that the top layer become dry. And if they are persistent for 2 more seasons, the whole area looks like a desert. So they've learned. So they treat our soil with delicacy and feed their supermarkets, feed themselves. That's what I'm saying. You need to visit Africa. Stop this lamented nonsense conversations you all are having, man. And when you go there, don't go to Africa about your guy in safari, you dirty little stinking, no good set of people. What the hell? It's run by Caucasians. It's a sex ring that you guy in safari. You guy in safari park, safari beach. You nasty, godforsaken, nothing bullshit people. Then you want to concern yourself with a lot of negative nonsense. And just because Allah says, straighten up and fly right. But you want to say, someone died for your sin. So if that be the case, why are you so sinful? That means you don't care. You don't care. If a person died for your sin and the person don't even know you, at least have some gratitude. But you don't care because you just feel that, okay, if that's what they say has happened, I'm free to do as I please. That means you're dumb. But your soul is telling you really and truly, nothing like that can save man. Man have to either be on the right side or on the wrong side. And look at us, consumers. Everybody else got something going on in the diaspora. And we ain't got nothing going on but plain amusement, the exploitation of our women. In time to come, there'll be another bunch of actors coming to the call saying that now we realize X, Y, and Y, and they'll be going to the church, to the prison, to the dance hall, all kind of things, and say that this is perhaps where it started. Now, they've been conducted by some white group, white body. Whether it's the mayor of London, whether it's central government, right? They're conducted by them. So they would do that. Why don't they do something sincerely and stop the blasted thing when they saw it? When they went out there, and before you sex the girl, the woman, turn around and say, yo, hold on a minute. Put some clothes on. And behave yourself. Be more distinctful and be more moral. Listen, show me something. But nah, because you're all in acting and so forth, and you won't be a masculine man if you can't, if you know. But someone puts some money on the table and your careers are washed up, you want to be out there telling my child, which is not involved, none of them are involved, that this is why things happen. Really? So, where were you? You was at the dances. Who was drinking those smackers? You were. But were you drinking them? You were giving them, you were helping. And you were banging them. But all of a sudden now, you become a minister of theological practice. Hypocrites. Now, who's motivated you? Because the influence was always there. And you were part of it. The only difference is all the females look just like you. Or look just like us. When we're visiting the church, or when the families are visiting the morgue, the police station, then the morgue, and then we're at the church, and no one turns around and said, you know why this has happened? Because I wasn't a good parent. You know why this has happened? When I cried out for help, only wolves turn up. When I cried out for the man that I laid with that brought about this child, no one was turning up. But now look at the church. He's here, and his family's here. And they insist that a particular casket should be bought. Yeah. That's what we do. We want to lay our children to 6 foot down with a prestigious send-off. And no one gets up and say, yo, here what happened? Were you actually taking care of this boy? I mean, you got Rolls Royce out there, and you got horse-driven. I mean, really? That's us. That's us. That's us, man. Why we do that? Why we do that? Toxic psychology. Political manipulation. And self-oppression. Self-afflicted oppression. Why? Because we just don't seem to work with ourselves. And then we come up with, we need to talk. after the event. Why are we being good parents? Why aren't we instituting liberation? Why aren't we celebrating knowledge? Why we just play with toxic garbage? Now, who's managing politics rounding about us? Ignorant imbeciles. Around the Caribbean, a bunch of ignorant imbeciles. Our young people, because true to unemployment, true to the fact that they look upstairs, look up the area and see a class distinctive set of people, the way they dress, the houses they have, and the vehicles they use on these little islands. So it has an impact. So what do the teenagers do? True, they're being seduced anyway, but mentally, what do? They try to find a way of getting something similar. And it becomes narcotics. But it's not something that they themselves have created. That's what we need to understand. They didn't create that. If they had money to be able to fly out and about in the West, why are they looking at the so-called first class set of people like that? They ain't got the source. So they're being duped and used and misused, undervalued. But they've been given something that they feel now that, they're privileged. And that just goes to show someone like me that those poor young people were not being mentally prepared, intellectually prepared, so they're somewhat dumb because they follow. They follow. And if they were supported and raised in a family, it'd be very difficult to get at least 3 of them out of 10. So in terms of the family conditioning, something had broken down long time. I'm talking about the Caribbean. How did that happen? And intellectually, the Caribbean island peoples and the education, we don't play with it. So how did that situation, that structure, become dumbed down? That's because of these so-called political managers on the behalf of England, the oppressor. The overseer with their governors, they call the tune. I keep telling Principal, that we have ambassadors. But the goddamn ambassadors has refused from early 60s to do their jobs correctly and wholesomely. That's why when we're victimized and traumatized, the perpetrator is allowed to get away with it. And we don't know where to go to get support. We only seek them or they seek us when it's independence, celebrations. Other nationals or other immigrants, you can't mess with them like that. Why is us always crying? Because we ain't got no representation. I mean, it's so self-explanatory. And he listens, but he's thinking that the English government can't be so crude. And I'm saying, just visit the embassies and find out what their protocol is, what their role is, what their responsibility, why they're here, what is their duty. And then before you leave, ask them to show you you. Right? All the family. And you'll see that even all the different addresses that we've had up to the current one, they know. They know when we moved. They know when we purchased. They know our employment status. They know our educational condition. And that's all I want him to do. Check. Because they think that, somehow I'm just vexed with them. And I hope you don't think that I was trying to check one of the females and some stuff didn't work out, so now I've got some axe to grind and so forth. No. Please. Please. Right? My wife, at one stage, was babysitting, was a childminder for one of them. A childminder for one of them. Because she does childcare. That time she was doing childcare, such and such, and so forth. But a lot of you doesn't know Dr. Eric Williams. A lot of you don't know nothing about Guyana. Don't know nothing about the employment condition. Know nothing about the unionists. Know nothing about Walter Rodney. Know nothing about Morris Bishop. And that's just the Caribbean. You've been hearing constantly Marcus Garvey. And you should have sat down and said, hold on a minute. Take that off the turntable. And the reason I'm saying that is that the damn nonsensical people that keeps blasting this name haven't done nothing. Haven't done nothing. Say become like Jesus. Marcus Garvey. They make Marcus Garvey a non-entity. You understand? And Marcus Garvey's sons are idiots. Still them stand up now and say, yo, hear what? When I call my father's name over and over and over again, and I go on like say when I like him so much, why have you all applied it, implemented? When I have a cruiser out of reggae, that goes to Africa. And I have a cruiser that called the Black Star Liner. And I have a national paper that called the African Post. And I have a curriculum that's in the Caribbean and the Americas. But him a sit down and I chat Muslim and don't want to face up to the bloody reality that if it's not for some Muslims, it would never have an administration in America or a newspaper. And it was employed by Muslims in England and was aided and supported by them to get to America. Come. I keep saying I'm waiting, man. Bring yourselves out with a man named him, huh? And say you want to chat with the Muslims them pertaining to the advent of your father. Yeah, you can have Robin Walker in your corner. Huh? And I tell you right now, me said this. Huh? The Costa. Me said this. That's the English name. See? Just one of my brethren and my son will make you cry, star. Will make you cry. No land basin, no nothing. Make you cry. Huh? Because you're futilely weak. You're weak. At Jamaica, you're supposed to sit your ass down and develop something and teach the sufferer. But you run about a chat hot ear. Hey, yo, you're a gossiper. You don't represent your father. Huh? You're weak. And Robin Walker come and make you weaker. Because you chat about Muslim this and a Muslim that. You weak, God-forsaken lump. You're weak, Aya. And I can tell you that in front of your face. I mean, I have to say it just behind this transmission. You're weak. You're weak. Your father would never, ever appreciate how you're going with, what you've been going on with. You not do nothing. You not do nothing. I ask you right now, produce the curriculum that you have written with Robin Walker for the University of the West Indies, one, and for the secondary schools in the Caribbean islands. You all have not done that, not thought about that. Listen here, you all not vision. You don't have no vision. Only just labba. Labba. You understand? Weak people. Non-progressive. And you only live off your father's name. And Robin Walker, I rub shoulder with you and live off you and your father's name. Huh? You understand? The man go Africa and see something, get something, and then keep putting twists on the thing. How the hell that can be authentic? How? And you not make no friend. You not make no friend. Not reading Kiswahili, not reading Amharic, definitely not reading Arabic, but you chat rubbish. You're chatting something. It's not fitting. When I take away your qualification from you, when I take away some of your major work from you, but the company you keep starts show that you're dumb, you're visionless. And you're supposed to turn around and tell that man, they say, watch her. No, your father would not be dealing with that. Your father was a progressive person, a progressive-minded person. Your father was attacked by academia in America, and him hold his own. He was being belittled by Du Bois and many others, not just Du Bois, but him hold his own. Because he had belief, he was sincere, and he worked. The largest organization for black men and women the world has ever seen outside of Africa. And what did it have? It didn't have no land. It didn't own no land. And it surely didn't have no riches. It just had a committed set of individuals and a vision. And that you are lacking. I may chat your father. A vision, no land, no economical source, no materials, nothing, man. And the largest ever organization, and will always be, is an intellectual threat to white supremacists. And all you have to do is take on that mental and say, yo, here what? Huh? We now let my father vision just pause like that. Nonsensical idiot. They're joking. With sympathy of talking should someone have for you. Nobody can talk like that about my grandfather. Nobody can talk like that about my father and my mother, my uncle. Huh? You're joking, star. They're productive people. Productive. And we represent Panama also, so we are productive. Hey, yo, please. And independence is our motto. So come square up. I want somebody to make him know, say, me I holler at them. Huh? Toxic nonsense set of people. Huh? Stand up, man. Represent your father. And make the world, make the whole diaspora and African world recognize you. Not for that. That there's work that should have been done, that hasn't been done, and it can be done and it needs to be done. Natural. But you and Robin Walker want to say, yeah, you know what, the Governor General, this, the Maroons, this, cha. Weak hearts. Weak hearts. Weak hearts, man. Weak hearts. So we say guidance. You understand? Somebody, people who know me must say, yo, you have that in your chest long time. Yeah, man, I have it in my chest long time. You understand? Long time. And it just wear me down. And when me see my brother last night, they're at the Congo and everything. I say, yes, daddy. You understand? Yeah, man, so my grandfather stay. And then all of a sudden I get a chill across my body because I say, who's going to protect him now? You understand? Seriously. Because them people that go send suicide, send assassinated mission out after him because him expose them. Him not come and say that this and this and this, you know. Them capture them, them round them up. They round them up and put them there for the world press to see. You understand? So, I say, never gonna give up. So, guidance, man. Sugar miner. Hey, yo, hey, I keep telling you, hey, them children are suffer at the hands of some unruly-minded people that want to take everything belong to sugar children them at Jamaica and claim it, misuse it, and sell it to European people. They even sell it to my gateway rail, to European people. So I say guidance.
Oh no, 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 I'm never gonna give up. Oh no, I'm never gonna give up. No matter what they do, I'm never gonna give up. No matter what they say, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh, you can have the whole world, but give me Jaja, but give me Jaja. You can have the whole wide world, but give me Jaja, but give me Jaja. You can have the silver and gold. You can have the rubies and the diamonds. You can have all those pretty girls in this whole wide world, but I'm never gonna give joy.
See, at that me I say to no. Take a joke. You understand? So you want, hey yo, you want, yeah, this when you Robert Walker, a youth named Ishmael, and book him many times. You see? So you want have a diasporan symposium, the Muslim vision, and you and Garvey's son, Christian Garvey vision, we're there for it. We're dead for it, man. You understand? Questions and answers and everything. We're dead for it. You understand? And I say Christian, because Garvey was a Christian. You see? And you is a Christian. And his son is a Christian. And we are Muslims. You understand? Serious thing. Right? A diasporan vision. Right? Vision in the diaspora. Garvey and the Muslim. See? And make sure you say Sunni Muslim. See, let's talk to Ishmael. You see? Nobody else. We don't want none of them other people from Galaxy. Just talk to Ishmael. Brother Ishmael. You understand? Because him book him do things here on several occasions. Down the African Center, in a park lane. A lot of well distinctive places, Upstate places, man. You understand? Not them little back room places, You understand? So you can do this, right? And the place will be like filled. You understand? Because the Muslim population, them, even some from America will come across here. You understand? Seriously, right? Because everybody want to know how come when I have the blueprint, and nothing has been materialized. It's not like him never had nothing and him die and everything done. You understand? You're talking about over 4 million people, them, Yeah? And the vast majority is the America. So if you take the amount of people across the Caribbean, the South Americas and everything, we're talking a lot of people. A lot of people. And you check this world, the only thing that come and shine across Garvey is Bob Marley. You understand? The whole Whalers Foundation and everything. Eclipse him. Eclipse him. You understand? So, if you're worthy, put aside your stupid animosity and rhetoric about Islam and deal with your father. Deal with your father. You're tackling the wrong thing. And you make yourself stupid. Because there's no historical references that shows anybody anything, but they show that Muslims, a lot of Muslims, were on board, people that were Muslims were on board those slave ships. Yes. And what shook up the Western man is that even though they split them up here, there, and everywhere, they were still mumbling something. and you go to the Library of Commerce, I think that's what it's called in America in these places, and the halls of records all about the place, and you see them. You see documentation. You see them on slates. You see them on tree bark. And you see them on paper. What those brothers and sisters were writing to keep Islam, al-Islam, in and around them. And this is where the Western world know the word Hafiz of Quran. Those who are able to memorize the whole Quran. So there in America you find that there's many, and they've written it on parchments, slates, and so forth and so forth. Even here in the United Kingdom, and a whole heap in a Bermuda. So come play games. Come play games and produce these alleged Christian that was under slave ship. There were none of them, nothing like that. We had our own worships and so forth, earn systems. That's what a lot about some of people. So there's not a set of people that people them grab up and say that these are the Hebrews and we'll bring the Hebrews across to America. Even a common sense person, a person that don't deal with history, that turn around and say, wait a minute, you mean that to tell me that whilst they were capturing people, they distinctly said, where's those Hebrew ones? We want the Hebrew ones. And why is it getting them? Make sure you bring some Christian ones too. Wow. Wow. What we're showing you is that they grab up people. Huh? But a lot of the people that them take from Gambia and these places, elect areas, because a lot of people, nobody don't know where some of them come from, because them take people from Zambia, where the Portuguese were big. Them take some from what we call Gambia today, Gold Coast, Nigeria, where else? And so on. Guinea, Niger, the Ivory Coast, the same Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, yes, Sierra Leone, these places, allegedly, you understand? So we don't know where else, you understand? Where else? But one thing we do know that we're up to speed with, and you all ain't, we can read that which is in Timbuktu. And we're grateful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our wives and our extended families helping us with language. Yes. So nobody na come tell we say something that ain't there and try to impress upon us, because we can do it ourselves also. So we're proud. Not proud with arrogance, we're proud to know that we've come of age in knowing something, not just hearing something, and having to rely on the said people that have oppressed us and have redirected us and have color-coded us. Nah. We're on a different wicket right now. So you better understand that. Every time you hear me, that wicket that we're on is what I'm projecting. Not with arrogance, but the animosity come right now because I'm tired hearing you Robin Walker and this Garvey brother. When I create animosity where there's none supposed to be. And a ignorance when I chat about. A historian and a gem of African adventure and activism, UNIA and Pan-Africans, Mr. Marcus Garvey. Star, you're supposed to celebrate your father and want others, including my children and grandchildren, to celebrate him with you and with me and me too. But when I go on, when I'm too big, old man, when I go on foolish, dumb foolish, when I'm supposed to have something else to do. Yeah, people of England are celebrate C.L.R. James. And them disagree with a lot of C.L.R. James' philosophy and ideology. But C.L.R. James, authentic. Him stand upon him square. Him stand upon him circle. He didn't need someone to validate him. But he welcomed reason, justification, and criticism. We're not going with. And it's the talk. I mean, he speaks so much about Keats and Shakespeare and all these people. And we're supposed to listen to him and say, yo, here what? Chill that man to the curb. No. No. He come up at a time when he shouldn't have been able to exist in that realm. So that gave us the impulses of saying, you know what? We can go out there, you know. We can go to university. We can rub shoulder with Queen Elizabeth. There's nothing different, Star. You understand? You think a joke? Guidance is gone.
Change your ways, you will get made.
I'm also a great selector, don't you think? Yeah, boy. Yeah, what me say? Change your ways, man. Come hold this, man. Kufum. Every time. Hey, and my great-grandfather actually taught your father in Garvey. I'm telling you, Star, get the thing sorted out, and I put everything. I put so much things on the table, right? Including in photograph with your father and everything on the table. You understand? Right? Because him come visit him, you know, and him raise his mind. See? And him tutor him. He tutor him. You understand? That's how your father became what he became. And my great-great-great-grandfather. You see? Now you want to find out who that is. That's a work for one to do, man. Seriously. Get moved on the case as well. Research that. You understand? and you don't have to dig unless you don't know nothing. Unless you don't know nothing. You understand? Right? You will then realize who I am, but it's not who I am, who my great-grandfather is. See? Yeah. Because then you know who he is. You know who was your father's tutor. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. And that same tutor booked him to come to England. Yes. That same tutor booked him his passes to depart from Jamaica and come to England. That was my great grandfather.
Change your ways, you wicked man.
A prophecy have a way of coming around. You understand? Coming around. See? What has been hidden for so long, huh, will always come to light. But there's some people, them, that not looking. And there's some people that like things to just fade away. Well, we are not like that. I'm definitely not like that. Right? You understand? And my father's family is not like that. You understand? So the children them now is embracing all this. You see? Yeah. And the grandchildren. So the seasoning continues. Why should the chain break? It continues. You understand? It's just that I'm the loudmouth of all of them.
Going around, cheating your fellow man, killing you, robbing, fulfilling your evil plans. But a day will come, I say, and you shall pay, when you shall pay, and the day is nearer, oh, it's nearer than you think. Oh, what's in the dark must surely come to light. These things, and you know it's not right. I know some of you think you're smart, oh yeah, but you're only breaking your own little heart. Now, long run shot gets, yeah. I thought I'm gonna get you if you don't take away. Change your ways, you wicked man. Mind what you're doing, mind what you're saying. For I know that the Lord is watching you. How could you say you really love Jaja, and still you fight against your brother? I know one day you're about to get your pay. You're gonna get your pay on the judgment day. Ooh. You better change your ways. Hear what I say now.
A serious thing, man. You understand? Because there's people them that know what them supposed to do, you know. Seriously. Them know what they're supposed to do, but them take shortcut, go in the corner, you know, and so forth. So me I say, we're all guilty. See? You understand? We're all guilty. You see? But when you have the blueprint and you have the philosophy and opinions of your father, you see? And you have letters and everything, right? So all you have to do is just sit down, yeah? You understand? As you always do. And read and just say, yo, hear what? Yeah? I've come of age. I'm going to do this for the University of the West Indies. I'm going to do this for the education throughout the Caribbean and the South Americas on the behalf of my father and my family and everything. You see it? But you let time, like you control time. You understand? Nonsense people, man. Nonsense people. Eh? And you can't tell nobody say that you're never around Jamaica when them idiot people them a jump on a cruiser and a go around and a go around and a place and a play music and attract tourists and everything. People them from everywhere and so forth. And all of them I say, your father, Garvey, and not one of them turn and say, hey, here what? Let me commandeer this blasted ship here and sail straight into Liberia. Huh? I want to know, say, we're a fool. Yeah. But no, not do that. You don't mobilize nobody because they don't take you for real. Chatting rubbish. And then people sit down and get some orgasm about you trying to brandish Muslims. You're foolish, man. Huh? Ask yourself, what has the Baptist done? Just ask yourself, what has it done? I mean, your father was a Baptist. Are you a Baptist? Just ask yourself what it done. And then even now, leave that alone and then ask yourself, what have you done? You're supposed to champion your father's legacy and make sure that a curriculum is in the national, your father's curriculum, UNIA curriculum, is in the national curriculum of the island. If not in the secondary chamber, in the university. And if not, dear God damn it, in the South Americas, across the rest of the islands. You think so everybody got to turn around just like your nonsensical politician them and refuse you? But you sit down with somebody that a waste time. And I run up your mouth about something that you don't know nothing about. Now, we got 30 days or something like that before Ramadan starts. Say what you can do is if since you have so much to talk about, you can fast with us. We find it easy because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God Almighty, we work with. So just to show that you're a man and not run up your mouth and you're not dumb, come fast with us. Not even fast with us. Just fast. 29 or 30 days. Express yourself, African. Yeah, that's a universal challenge. I'm not going to benefit from it. You will. But let's see what kind of man you are. And if you can't do that, don't bother put Islam in your mouth. Because why you putting Islam in your mouth? The people who are listening to you are supposed to ask you, because they're dumb too, to ask you, what have you done in relation to your father's legacy, in relation to your father's work? Don't you think that you should have got a boat, a ship at least, or some form of organization that's bringing goods from Africa to the Caribbean? Don't you think you should have had a warehouse? Don't you think you should have negotiated with several of the countries in Africa and have import-export take place under your father's banner? Sure. Waste, man. Now, we're all guilty. Isaac is. Make him understand. even though this song was written between a relationship, it good for this. Hey, what me I chat about it's good for that, you know. I tell you. So here what now? Me gone from that now. Me say, I'm the boss. Yeah, man. James. Yeah. And my father this, you know. My father big tune.
1, 2, get down.
I'm the boss. Did you hear that?
Paid the cost to be the boss.
Yeah.
Paid the cost to be the boss.
Hey, you think I joke me a joke? You know, I get this a stone love, you know. You understand? You get this a real symbolic. Attorney. Yo, them man they said stop calling for them names to royalty because too much of them still under speculation. Socialist roots, come here. Come here.
1, 2, get down.
I'm the boss.
Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. I paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. You know what to see. See a bad mother.
Hey.
Look at me. You know what to see. See a bad mother. Paid the cost to be the boss. Paid the cost to be the boss. Look at me. Know what to see? See a bad mother.
See where my father dropped that? No, we can't move in a style. Hold on. Come, daddy.
Father, oh Father, have mercy upon them who have mercy upon themselves.
See, you think say me I work with what? The Governor General. You see? Oh, you think a joke. You understand? Seriously. I'm an Arawak, man. You understand? Seriously. I'm a descendant of the Arawak. Yo, you two, what wanna I do with the thing? Where the thing a buff, so? Yeah? And my system straight up. You understand? Stop it, man. Stop it. Come here.
Father, oh Father, have mercy upon them who have mercy upon themselves. Mercy, Lord! Jaja dread, you no know say Rasta dread, you no know Jaja dread, you no know say Jaja dread. Judge I, O Lord God, Jah Rastafari, and play thy cards up against these unjust man, cause thou art the Lord of thy strength. Why cross the arm? Why murmur? Father, have mercy upon these as thou art thy son. Please send out thy light and thy truth.
See, when I wait for no one to come tell me tell you. Come here. Let the people go.
people don't have freedom of speech. Said you better let my
See, serious thing, man. Let us go, man. You understand? Hey, yo, we already got so much problem, see? And then we are compound the problem ourselves. I mean, really and truly. You understand? That's ignorance. So now Garvey and Warren Walker, if I take that into account, ask yourself, as a scholar and as a son, our freedom fighter, what sense is that? What sense is that, really and truly? Yeah? A negativity when I offer. Negativity. And me like a fool get caught in one whip. So just check Ishmael and set up something so we can just put this thing here. Because the generation that are come, now work with them something there. You understand? Seriously. And we already know that enough of them gonna get killed. But we're coming resourceful. So they can't wipe out all of them. Not gonna be possible. You understand? Cause the fear factor something we're working on right now. So them now start the work and be afraid. And then now start the work because they might look money. No. They start the work because they're going to live. And they fear God and God alone, not man. Hey, Marvin.
Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what
Yo, you two, what we're not going with, man? Every other system I go as goal, you know. Every time you touch on something, when I come with a circle, when I deal with, relax, man.
Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Oil wasted on the oceans and upon our seas, fish full of mercury. Oh, oh, mercy, mercy me. All things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Radiation.
See all them tune I may play? I pray, you know, in a reggae, in a music style. See it? So you what now? Because like, no, why am I chat like the children them? It's like, this day here is will never come again because it's the last of the month, you see? And tomorrow is the beginning of what I term to be African History Month. See? Them say Black History, but which black is that? You know what I mean? The Americans are create some problem now. So I know and you know, but we need to be more distinctive. You understand? We come of age, we look at this something and we say, yo, here one. It's supposed to be African history. You understand? Whether it's in England, whether it's in Canada, whether Caribbean, wherever it should be African history, right? And African history all the while. You understand? And so we should see it. We should try to see it. You understand? Work with it. But them give us a month, and then we have a month in Europe October. You understand? So this is what I'm going to start with. Maybe tomorrow, God willing. You know what I mean? Seek permission from the wife and everything. But this is a letter from Martin Luther King to the economists in America. But the letter really is to the citizens of America. All of them. You understand? Not the black man, not the African American, right? Everybody. You see? And this letter caused a lot of trouble. You see? So I'm going to give an induction to it since me there and everything. But if my wife give me permission when she come now, tomorrow me sign on with it because it's a long letter. It made my sister cry because she feels that I was doing some voodoo. Because it is so real. You understand? So come here, Dr. Martin Luther King. But Vernon Johns is my man, you know. Vernon Johns. I want them know that. Vernon Johns is my man. See? Okay. Right? Because he want to develop us not to be consumers, to understand freedom, right, and so forth, embrace human rights and everything. And then, like Garvey said, repatriate ourselves, those of us who have that feeling and so forth, and those of us who don't have that feeling and everything, then we must develop some infrastructures in the areas that we're residing within, right? And that's like, there's no problem with that. Yeah. It shouldn't have been, you understand? And Vernon Johns was set down because the big man them never liked that, and Martin was brought in to replace Vernon. Now, in the Muslim, in Islam, among the Muslims, when the Muslim, them, like the area where we live now, if you see the community and how large the community is, not the numbers in terms of property, housing, stock, and everything, you have to ask yourself, how the hell did these people did this? Because it's housing stock, not flats, houses. And you know what I swear by God, what actually came to my mind, and I saw it in my eyes like I never saw it before. I've seen it before. It's always there. You understand? That's when a people, as a family, can start making decisions. Decisions to expand or to develop a family. To develop a family. So with those homes, and then with that person having a female married somebody, now them start to develop to have children. And the intention from the start was some stability. And the stability is when the man have to have a home, but those responsible individuals, men, within that group of people that started to give growth to that vicinity, they're following the Islamic creed. Also backed by their culture, because a lot of the people them come from Pakistan or India, and other countries come much later. But if you must think about it, a person have to get married. And then catch a shoe be and them something. No, you have to get married. And you're married into a family. And then you have to develop stock before this marriage. You can't just marry and then you say, well, no, you have to be organized, you have to be responsible, you have to be reliable, you have to be resourceful, and you know exactly what marriage means, what relationship means, and what family means, because now you're involved with another family. It's not you. It's other people. So this is a family. You get involved with family. It's a structure we're getting involved with. So that family now becomes rich. Not rich in resources, because now I'm connected to another family. And that other family is connected to my family. But I'm the one who wants to be with their daughter. So my intentions have to be good. And I have to be organized and all them kind of something there. And we are going to bring forth children. So we were going to bring forth the children them on a street corner. So when to them, and they said, hey, and then all of a sudden, like two windows just, the curtains just, like God is saying, that's what you wanted to say. And there was children, just like I was one time. I was a peep through the window because I'm timing my father's arrival. I'm timing his arrival. So I said, if our people was to stop running up the mouth in the wrong way and ask some serious questions, how the hell did you lot manage this? How did you manage this? And now, one block and rising under control. And not even control on our own. The whole housing stock in the area. Right? And then when you look again, all the amenities that culture requires is there. Clothes shop, grocery shop, meat shop. It's there. The computing, all the latest thing, they have it. And we are just walking up and down, going in and out of all the other major supermarkets and the corner shop, which is the said people them shop. And then I said, wait, so what to we? What is it about? What's our thought? What's our thought processes? There's got to be something, there's something wrong. And we're not applying culture, you know. We're just going from day to day. But we know everything. Any kind of discourse, we know everything. We know everything about every other group except ourselves. And that's what got me. I thought, what? You understand? We're rough journalists, you know. Because we know everything. But we're not doing nothing for we. And then I say, you know what? That's why the people them can buy up these housing stock, you know. Because the money, their money is going round among them and the bigger heads in the community whose responsibility is about assets. They're the ones that are starting out these property. Now their children come and they're dealing with the law, all the legalities and everything among this exchange and this banking that the Muslims are supposed to deal with, usury, interest and everything. Yo. And I said, it's some serious thing. But then I said, why is our people them running from us when they're supposed to stand still and reason? Why are you running from us? Why are you bad mouthing and everything? Because any idiot can see from afar that the people them organize. And you will be, with true curiosity, you must be saying, how did it happen? What did they do to bring that about? How did it own so much housing stock? And then them have all the stores and the shops them represent their culture. The shops them not represent nothing English. What the hell's wrong with us? Their food, their culture traditions, it is what is being provided in those shops. Supermarkets, everything that they have. That's natural. Their clothes, their customary attire is what is being provided. Those who are seamstresses and tailors and everything, they're readily available and keep the chain of productivity going. We there look from we want to go Chelsea, we want to go Selfridges and all these places, and we are spend money that we really need to have. But if we don't have our own shoe, which is a crocodile skin shoe from Africa, we don't feel safe. Yo, hey, I'll tell you something seriously. I'm gonna keep pressing on with the Islamic approach to life, because Islam is a way of life, and hope that some people just see it for what it is, inquire or make use and trials of those segments you understand, because it's there, it's free. It's free. It's free, man. Serious thing, right? I just and listen, man. And that's all up and down the country. And then they put they have one house, people that pray. They make that house into two houses. They buy the house next door, knock out the walls, them get the architects, the surveys and everybody else in, and make sure that the place become extremely stable and everything. Because they can knock down some walls, widen the place and everything, even the garden and so forth. And then you have a prayer facility, a learning facility, a mother tongue facility, and a place for the mothers them to take care of their children them. Mothers and toddlers and everything and so on. And there's we. There's we. I tell you. And as time go by now, the people them come and buy some acres of land and build a prayer facility called a mosque. Then buy the land and get their builders in, you know. People that go to school, go to college, everything. And before them do that, used to import the people them from their respectful countries, wherever, or Arabia and everything. You understand, that have these building skills, these technical skills and everything. And just bring them across here and just say, yo, this is the land, right? We want a mosque built here. Right? You understand? And the architect do him thing, and everybody do their thing, and then the committee assess and all the arrangements with the council and and everything go through, and them say, yeah, build it, start. because they not come up with the idea and they don't have no money. No. Money must be around. But the black man out there, he must say, yeah, I've got this Arab friend. 1 minute the Arab them bad, next minute the Arab them good. But they're not asking, which Arab? We can show you the distinctiveness to identify when there is a mosque that is built from outside. You understand? We can do that. And if you keep using your eyes, you would be able to recognize them. Right? And their government. There's nothing wrong with the mosque, but I'm telling you that this community built facilities and they're internationally offered facilities to this country and other countries. Because we have institutions. We have secondary school education taking place. Oh my God. Yes, something has happened, so I don't know. YouTube says an error occurred. Please try again later. So it's on their side. So we're gone.